So it's finally here. It's time once again to set sail across the high seas, this time in Silver Age with your favorite pirate, Gravy Bones. And if you're looking for a reason to play Gravy Bones in Silver Age and a way to find success with Gravy Bones, well, you've come to the right place. This is a hero that has it all. He's got the theming. He's literally a pirate that dredges up his allies from the depths. And if you're someone that cares about competing, I'll tell you a little secret. As long as you're dodging Ira, which honestly is like a lot of decks are trying to say that at this point. If you're dodging Ira, you have a really good shot into a lot of decks. So today I'm going to share with you the current list that I've been playing in paper, and we'll talk more about how to play this. But before we get to the deck list, what heroes is this hero good into, and what are you looking to avoid? Well, Gravy Bones is fantastic into a lot of different heroes that struggle to remove multiple allies off of the board in any given turn and also threaten your life total. So there's a lot of heroes that actually fits into. A lot of Guardians, they really have to switch, kind of pivot over and try to rush you down. Otherwise, you just overwhelm them. It's very hard to fatigue a heavy ally list that I'm about to show you, so you have a lot of benefit there. Brutes can sometimes struggle into us, and we are favored into Brutes. You're pretty favored into a variety of other decks, like Wizard feels fantastic to play against, which is a crazy thing to say from a Wizard player myself, but it feels fantastic to play against Wizards because we have so many blues. It feels really good to play against, like Enigma, for example. We dumpster on Florian. Our biggest issues are really Ira, which is unfortunate, Briar, which is also unfortunate, and Dash if you can't set up a fatigue state for them. So those are the things that we're not great against. This is really going to be a meta call type hero. He's fantastically fun to play. He's probably one of the most difficult decks in this format to actually play and do well with. But if you have a favorable meta and you learn how to play this deck and you learn how to play towards our massive combo potential, we will roll over some serious swaths of the meta. So let's go ahead and jump down and talk about the deck list. And if you're looking for more information and you want to go really deep into Gravy Bones, I put together a Metafy guide and I broke down 3 different versions of Gravy Bones, 3 different sort of unique archetypes. 2 of them are similar, 1 of them is completely different, and actually the different one might be the best of the 3. So if you want to go deeper into understanding this hero and you want to support me and help me fly out to Pro Tour, feel free to pick up a Metafy guide down below, and all the proceeds will basically allow me to get to go to Pro Tour in Las Vegas. So check that link down in the description. Back to the deck. And of course, if for some reason you have no idea why I'm so into Gravy Bones, there's a pretty good reason, as you can see here, but we're going to set that aside and show you the old school deck tech style deck for Silver Age Gravy Bones. Here he is in all of his rainbow foil glory. For those that don't know, Gravy Bones is a pirate necromancer hero. You can tap him, and in doing so at instant speed, you destroy a gold you control. Once you've done that, you draw a card, then discard a card, which allows you to discard allies, but it also means that you can kind of fix your hand. And if you've put a blue card into the graveyard on that turn, you can play cards with Watery Grave from your graveyard. Now, this is not going to be a full-on intro. I'm assuming you probably know who Gravy Bones is and what he does. So let's talk about how you play him in Sage as we kind of move past all of this. You play Compass because we want to know the top of our deck. Right now, this paper version of the list is running Carrion Crown, though I have sort of graduated, if you will, over to the new Mercolier Helm. That card is quite good. Nevertheless, I am still playing this in paper, and Carrion Crown with a heavy ally list is fantastic. This is a heavy ally list. Perhaps the most successful deck, and one of the decks I dive into on the guide that I just posted recently over on Metafy, does not run a ton of allies, but with a ton of allies, this is a fantastic headpiece. If you don't end up using it as a failsafe to fix your hand, you at the very least get a 2-block out of it. So very solid still, even though you could run other things. Trench, though, is in like all of my lists. There are other options, but Trench has been such an all-star As we'll see from the sideboard, this card can be used in a variety of different ways and with a variety of different cards depending on how you want to play it. This, nevertheless, is fantastic. Blocks 1 and pitches a blue card from your graveyard. Washed Up Wave is a key piece as well that we are going to be playing throughout, and this is just a straight up standard ability to block and also discard an ally is just the best in slot right now. And then Mage Master Boots to kind of follow it up. After that, of course, we've got AB3, and I only have 2 of the pieces out, but the other piece would be Arms, AB Arms. But got Scuttletoes plus Nullrune Robe, and then there's a third piece of AB as well. So you can play AB3. That's the equipment, the short and sweet of the equipment. Let's go ahead and, no, we won't talk about the sideboard. Let's talk about the linchpin kind of driving force of this deck. And it starts, of course, with the allies. So what allies are we playing if this is a heavy ally list? In this version of the list, we are playing 9 allies across the board. And that is 2 copies of Swabby. Swabby is so good in this format, particularly because we have tipples and swells. It is the beat stick of the format, and it's fantastic. It's expensive, but we definitely want to establish these and get a massive amount of value out of them. So that's a definite play there. And it also looks like it's in the surface of the sun. So maybe we slide it over and adjust things as we go. Next up, we have exactly 2 copies of Rigor Mortis because it is the other sort of giant beat stick in the list. These 4 are always played regardless of if your opponent can easily clear them or not. And then we have 2 limpets, and these limpets are pretty solid as well. I always play them unless I'm up against exactly Ira or Briar, and then I take at least one of them out because I don't necessarily want a ton of allies in that matchup, and these are so easily cleared. Outside of that, though, these are fantastic. In fact, I would say this is probably one of the best allies and most underrated allies in the entire game for Gravy Bones, particularly into every matchup that doesn't have the best time clearing allies, because this accrues so much value over time. These are really, really good pieces, and I think so many people underrate them. Next, we have Barnacle, a really sort of a draft chaff or a sealed chaff card, but in this format, a free 4-power attack after blocking with your entire hand is quite good. And so into a lot of matchups that are going to be stealing our hands, if we can establish this, we are going to claw a card or 2 back in tempo with them removing this, or we will have the ability to send our full hand on blocks and swing Barnacle. So underrated as well. This has been perhaps the most shocking good card in this entire deck. Chowder Hardy Cook has become just like one of my favorite allies as of late because of its sheer flexibility. Yes, it costs a lot to get out on the board, but being able to play it out and then either gain life, not having to attack with it, or attacking with it and then gaining life on my opponent's turn. If it sticks around, it just gains so much life over the course of the turn because there's all these other allies that your opponent wants to clear. So Chowder has been such a standout for me. I'm honestly consider going to 2 going forward. Cutty Shark is another underrated one that is super fun. Cutty is interesting in that it gives you a way to sink that final resource in. For those that haven't played a lot of Gravy Bones, there are times where you just have like 1 extra resource. There are also times where you're just like 1 short based on some of the math that you do. But sometimes you just need that 1 extra resource, or have, I should say, that 1 excess resource, and you don't have anything to do with it. And Cutty Shark gives you something to do with it. He's also a 4 health body on the board, which does require a bit more setup to be removed from some of those tough matchups like Ira and Briar. So he ends up sticking a lot more than some of these other allies do, which are easy like 1 card or even dagger clears. From that point, with all of those main board allies, those 9 allies, it's a heavy list, we have the gold generation, and this is sort of the backbone of the deck. Gravy Bones is a hero that will absolutely roll you if he can get set up, and his setup of course comes from getting gold. And so with all of these allies, you don't want to get stranded with them in your hand. Instead, you want to be able to toss them for gold, and of course to do that we have all copies of Golden Tipple, because of course we do. We have access to it in Silver Age, and you really do need, with a heavy ally list, you really do need 6 copies of Golden Tipple to actually churn through them and get them into the graveyard and get that gold so that you can use the gold. And gold is so much more valuable than, just like crack, activate Gravy and ship it onto, the graveyard. Toss an ally into the graveyard. It's far more valuable and more necessary in this format to activate so many linchpin pieces. And this includes that Mercolier helm that I talked about and mentioned at length in the guide that I put out for this yesterday. So more information, I guess, on the guide if you want that. But at the very least, just understand that you can crack gold for tons of damage and tons of value throughout the game. Portside Exchange is also just a key piece that we use. Whether or not you're planning to activate Portside Exchange first and then go Tipple or Tipple Portside Exchange, the fact is that you just need this gold generation. That is 8 pieces thus far, and then 2 Seafloor Salvage, and this is a fantastic piece. We have upped the number of yellow cards compared to a lot of other lists and compared to Classic Constructed, at least old school Classic Constructed when you first had the deck coming onto the scene. Because we have more yellows, we have more targets for Seafloor Salvage, and oftentimes I find that if I'm not finding those allies early, then at least I've found like a yellow card, a yellow Tipple, a yellow Swell, and I can activate Seafloor Salvage to start the ball rolling and get a gold. Once you've hit the ground running with a gold on the board, things open up for you greatly, and this allows you to do that very early on. And sometimes, depending on your opponent, you can even do that as easy as turn 1 because they've sent a yellow already. Now, next we come to a set of cards that I feel like everybody underrates as well, and I certainly did until I started playing with these. These are the cards that really make us able to just absolutely blow people out of the water and win games. And it starts with this card, Saltwater Swell. Saltwater Swell is probably the most misunderstood card in the game. It is so misunderstood on how to actually play this card, when to play this card, and what this card actually does for our game plan and for Gravy in general. It is so good that we run 1 red, 2 yellows, and 2 blues. And I could talk at length. In fact, I did. I typed a lot about Saltwater Swell. But just to give you the short and nitty-gritty of this, Saltwater Swell enables all of our best turns, including but not limited to our 20 damage turns, our 18 damage turns, in very easy, rapid succession. Now, the best way to demonstrate this is just to demonstrate it, which I will do after I show you the rest of the deck. But understand that this is one of probably the #1 arsenal target in the deck. It is also one of the cards that we want to play and resolve on our biggest turns to provide us the resources to crack more gold, to find more cards, to play more allies, and to play big allies. But it also even works on small hands because you can do Swell into, if it's a blue Swell particularly, like if you play blue Swell pitching a blue, you can go Swell into Swabby off of just what I described. If Swabby's sitting in the bin, you go Saltwater Swell, pitch the blue, make the 5, send the Swabby, and then swing the Swabby. This card, so underrated and misunderstood. That is one of the biggest cards to understand how to play, when to play, and why to play in order to start winning games with Gravy Bones. And this is the other one. Red Swiftwater Sloop is key as well. This is one of the other top 3 arsenal pieces. The first one being Saltwater Swell, the second one being this or Tipple, depending on what matchup you're going into. But this card allows us to go so much wider and threaten so much more damage than our opponent is generally prepared to deal with. Couple that with big ally swings and you just blow people out with 20 damage. Just imagine Swell into hitting a blue, into Sloop, into swinging Rigor Mortis, okay? And that's wasting a lot of resources and not using a lot of cards. Doing that pattern right there, Swell into Sloop into Rigor Mortis, that's, with this red Swell, that'd be 15 damage, and that's 3 cards that technically were committed to attack. That's before you pop gold, that's before you send blue Swiftwater Sloop, that's before you swing a Limpet as well. The sky's the limit. And so both the red and the yellow Swiftwater Sloops are so key to understanding how this deck really goes. And then of course you have your sort of linchpin, a backbone blue set here as well. You've got 2 Loot the Holds. These are disruption pieces into aggressive, decks. So you've got 2 Loot the Holds. You've got 2 Loot the Arsenals, though I have in my most recent lists, what I posted recently, I've cut down to 1. This card is worth cutting down to 1 because we have room for some other things. I've got 2 Flying Highs, blue specifically. This was also an overachieving card. In fact, this was the card that made me get back onto Gravy and keep trying with the deck because double ally swings are one heck of a drug, and they are quite successful. So 2 Flying Highs, and then 2 more Go Again pieces in Avast Ye as well. And you do want both of these sets. Usually you want to fully, unless you have a small ally list, if you're running like 6 or less allies, you're not playing the Flying High in 4 copies. Maybe you're playing it in 3. Having 4 still insulates you against fatigue. Because you can still send double ally turns. But having a large ally deck, like a high ally count, you want the 4 because you can take advantage of it. And then finally, you have Murderous Rabble. And very quickly, in the sideboard, we have Throw Caution to the Wind because it combos so nicely with a couple of different pieces, including but not limited to the brand new Beneath the Surface, and also, incidentally, the only card in the deck that isn't shiny. I guess minus the piece of equipment, Watery Wave, I guess, needs to be cold foiled out. But these Beneath the Surfaces are key into matchups that want to push dominated or overpowered or confidence damage, because Beneath the Surface from the graveyard, or Beneath the Surface from the arsenal, or Beneath the Surface from the hand, all triggered off of the, Trench of Watery Depths, is like free 5 block, right? If you think about what this combo represents, Trench block, Pitch Blue, Beneath the Surface, this is essentially blocking, I guess alongside of Beneath the Surface, essentially blocking for 6. That's 2 cards, 6 block across a variety of different means of blocking as well. And so if you're playing against Dominate, this is a key piece. Now, I've also run in some lists Unmovable, which in some matchups is even better than Beneath the Surface, but I like Beneath the Surface right now because it does provide a bit of flexibility. It pitches yellow, and it also can be discarded as it is a Watery Grave card, and it also can be discarded as it is a yellow card off of Tipple to create gold. So there's a lot of flexibility here to be had that Unmovable's raw block potential doesn't necessarily meet. Nevertheless, it depends on your local meta. And then finally, we respect Kano here, so we play 2 Arcane Polarities. You can also play this into Briar. I also play Oasis into a lot of my other lists as well, if you have the space for it. This version of the list that I'm playing in paper doesn't, but I also don't expect to see a ton of Kano. Nevertheless, I do throw it into the old sideboard so that I can respect the big dog himself. Okay, I've set up a sample hand here, and this is what I wanted to highlight. Now, I've just shuffled the deck, so I don't actually know what's on the top, but I want to highlight how powerful these cards can be in concert. So we have a Saltwater Swell in Arsenal. This is a fine arsenal in the early to mid game, and it can also be a pretty decent arsenal in the late game. In the late game, oftentimes I want to be arsenaling Sloop and setting up a pretty massive Sloop turn. Nevertheless, this will represent my graveyard that has not been played. Equipment will probably not take effect in this turn for the example that I'm going to be showing. And we are going to try and play out a pretty large turn. And we should probably represent a gold here as well, because usually everything is happening off of the trigger of either Mercurial Helm or a gold crack. So I've been playing with my custom gold. Let me grab one of those. Yes, that's right. You know, we're about that life. It is literal custom DM Armada gold. Those tokens made by Metal Fab tokens. So let's go ahead and play out this turn. And of course, when you have a swell in hand or an arsenal, the first thing you usually do is look at the top of your deck on your turn. It is a blue. Our chances of hitting a blue are quite solid, quite decent, so it's not surprising, though we have literally in this setup not really burned through our deck, so you can actually keep track usually of how many blues you've seen versus how many yellows and reds. You can keep that running count in your head. Now that we know that it's a blue, though, we feel pretty comfortable firing off, probably just pitching this Flying High, seeing as the scenario that we've set ourselves up with, we don't have allies on the board, and we only have a Swabby in the bin, and yet we could still probably get some pretty good value here. So we're going to pitch that, playing the Saltwater Swell. Saltwater Swell is going to come in and flash the surface of the sun. I'll try to move everything down so that it doesn't blind you. And that's going to pitch this. It is going to give us 5 resources. So we'll get a die out here, and we'll put a big old number 5 on that. If I can find a 5, one that's probably more visible than that, this will work. Here we go. We got 5 resources here. This is representing 3 damage on the face of it. This also incidentally activates this effect here, which is fantastic. Now, we haven't played a blue yet, but that's okay because we do have some options. If this were in the mid game, we would have already had some yellows available, so playing Seafloor Salvage would be absolutely fantastic, but this is representing 3 damage. After something like this, I feel pretty comfortable thinking about our play lines. It would be nice if we can then follow this up with 6 go again into 7, because you know, those numbers are pretty solid. Nevertheless, we can probably do a little bit better. Do keep in mind we will have to play a blue, but before we commit to that, let's go ahead and pop this gold and see what's on top. Like I said, I have no idea what's actually on top. Oh, sweet, it's a Rigor Mortis. So in this scenario, this would be a fine time to crack Carrion Crown. In doing so, we're going to discard this ally, and then we are going to draw a card in its place. This should represent 3 at this point. We've drawn, sweet, cool. I didn't shuffle well, but we've drawn another Rigor Mortis. Now, we have a couple of options actually here. We could just choose to, you know, like play Seafloor Salvage and turn that Rigor face down. And looking at our resources, we have, you know, 5, 8, and this would take a total of 5, 7. So we can still swing that same play pattern, which seems pretty good. The other option, we would be 1 resource up. So would there ever be a world where we could find something off the top of the deck and play that? That would have to cost 0 or 1. And then we would have cracked another gold going down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could never get away with playing something off the top and hitting here. So that wouldn't work. So instead, this would just end up being a sloop turn, paying for that, and then pitching the rest of this hand after we play the loot the arsenal. Being able to play that would allow us to then pay these 5 and bring Swabby and swing Swabby. Swabby would then have an on hit of destroying the arsenal, because of the blue here, and then we would have a Rigor Mortis waiting in the wings. So a little bit of a low roll on this instance, because cracking a gold here and playing Swell and Sloop still only netted us 13, 16 points of damage, but that's relatively easy setup, and like I said, it's a relative low roll. So let's try again. Let's go ahead and assemble things. I'll just chuck these back on top and then shuffle a few times. I'll keep the 3 blues, or at least 2 of the blues, because that's what we had planned on doing, and then that Rigor can go back up there. So this was the hand in the arsenal, this was in the grave, and oftentimes we want Swabby to be lurking in the grave, waiting in the wings for some sort of a big turn to be able to come out and play. Depending on the matchup, you don't necessarily want to throw them just out on the board with impunity early on. Like if your opponent's pretty decent at clearing allies, or they're okay with giving up tempo, then he just represents, you know, like swinging 5 resources for 7 damage. That's a lot. So instead, we probably want to wait for him to get maximum value and then move on with our lives from there. So playing like middling allies is oftentimes better, and then keeping some very high impact allies for big turns to be able to kind of come out and represent a massive amount of damage. That's usually what we end up wanting to do. So similar hand, this time we are going to put the Swiftwater Sloop in the arsenal. We're going to untap here. And again, this represents not being played, and the Carrion Crown can be waiting. So now we're going to look at the top with our gold back in play. Usually when you have a sloop or a swell and you're looking to put together a combo hand, you want like 2 gold, but we're just going to try with 1 gold and see what the top is. It is a barnacle. This would be a time where you could actively consider using Gravy Bones as effect. And early on, you're not going to have this setup, because early on you're going to be kind of churning through what is mostly blues, but also a mixture of yellows and reds. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and activate Gravy Bones. We're going to draw and then discard here, cracking that gold. And then we could just choose to blind Saltwater Swell, pitching in the same way, flying high. We could even argue that maybe pitching differently and trying to set up some sort of a double ally turn would be good off of Mage Masters. That might be arguably better. if we don't hit here? It's an interesting decision before we even reveal the swell. The other option could be turning Barnacle into a gold and searching further from there, but remember we are going to have to play one of these two cards. Let's just keep it as is. We're going to flip. We're going to see it is a blue. So we have 5 floating, again, representing 3. At this point, actually, it might have honestly been a little bit better to keep the flying high. Nevertheless, we can play Seafloor Salvage. That will be the blue for the turn. We can turn Barnacle. We will gain a gold. Let's just go ahead and put that over there. Remind ourselves that this is Barnacle. The other option there is just crack the gold, paying 2 Carrion Crown to draw a second card. That might have been another option play there as well. This gives us a gold, so it's almost the same sort of thing. We'll crack it down to 3, draw a card. Oh, it's a Limpet. That would have been a fantastic one, but now we can crack Carrion Crown. Discard the Limpet, draw a card. There's another blue. Then things get interesting here because now we have a couple of different options. Like we could consider Mage Master Boots and this would represent 6 resources. We have already played a blue, as you can see. We have 2 blues in hand. We have 9 resources up. So what would this equate to? This would swing for 1. This would cost 2. This would cost 5. So that's 7 right there. And then this is 8, 9. So counting again, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So with the 9 resources we have at our disposal, let's double check that we counted correctly. We paid 1, we cracked a gold, we went up to 5, then down to 3. So yeah, this should work out, which means that we can play Limpet, swing Limpet, go down to 2. That represents 2 damage. We can then follow this up by cracking Mage Master Boots, going down to 1. And then playing Swabby. You could actually arguably like wait on this and send the boat first. Floating 2. Oh, that's why, because I paid for the boots. Okay, so now we're all good. So this would actually go to 0. We'd have 2 in hand. We already have the High Tide active. This would swing for 6, and then we would pay the Mage Master Boots here, and then we would pay the remainder to play Swabby. And then we would pay the last 2 to swing Swabby. So we're all good here. And this would equate to 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 3 is 16, plus 2 is 18. I have done double ally turns where I swing Rigger, Swiftwater Sloop, and like this Swabby or Limpet on the board and a Swell that kicked everything off. That'd be 6, 12, 18, 23. I've done 23 before, which is pretty nuts. These are the types of turns that you want to try and set up towards and play towards. All of it hinges on Saltwater Swell, Swiftwater Sloop, and manipulating the top of the deck with a gold. So there you have it. If this hero interests you, if you want to try and pick up Gravy Bones in Silver Age, well, I have a guide for you. And of course, you can use the information you've gotten from this video. And if you want to go and support me, help me pay my way towards Pro Tour in Las Vegas, you can pick up the Metafy guide down in the link in the description. Support the channel, allow me to fly across the country and play this deck against many of you out there and have a lot of fun on the way. And this hero is a lot of fun. He's so underrated. He's so good. And if you're up against the right meta and you're dodging the right heroes, you can do some insane things with Gravy Bones. If you like this type of content, the old school deck tech style thing, leave a comment down below letting me know that. And of course, make the number go to the other number. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.